Each week, American Artifacts takes you to museums and historic places. Up next, a visit to 28 East 20th Street in New York City, the Theodore Roosevelt Birthplace National Historic Site, for a tour by the site's lead park ranger, Michael Amato.
His legacy still impacts us today, whether it be in the realm of conservation or federal regulation and trust busting, or foreign policy, which we don't debate whether it's good or bad really here at the birthplace, to be honest, but the Panama Canal. So his vision for America, given his time, was extremely progressive, and it's something that I think affects everyone 100 or 95, to be exact, 95 years after his death. There's still tons of documentaries, tons of books written about him, because he was endlessly, as we like to say, endlessly fascinating and dynamic. He's a guy who overcomes the tragic death of his wife and mother to go on to achieve great things. And that's a story that somehow never gets boring. Roosevelt in his autobiography refers to the library as a room of gloomy respectability. Gas lighting, coal-burning fireplaces, horsehair furniture. Fortunately, horsehair wasn't very comfortable for T.D., which, interesting enough, was his nickname when he lived there as a child. So that's a huge misconception. People like to refer to him as the Teddy Roosevelt. But Teddy, he actually hated being referred to as Teddy. He accepted it from the public, and he accepted it at political rallies and from the media. But as a child, he was nicknamed T.D. As an adult, he was referred to as the Colonel, which is a great photograph of TR on his tailored Brooks Brothers uniform. Interesting thing about being referred to as a colonel is that his total Rough Rider military time was equivalent to about 3 months. So, but that was his preferred nickname. The home had all the modern amenities that were available at this part of the 19th century. The pocket doors are also a great example of the Roosevelt family business. That's a common question we get here. Obviously, the Roosevelts were doing pretty well for themselves. They're able to buy homes for each of their 5 sons. How did they make their money? And I'm sure, as everyone here knows, it pays to get on the ground floor of anything in life. Well, the Roosevelts are very fortunate, and they get on the ground floor of America. They arrive around 1646. So by the time T.D. is born in 1858, they're well established both socially as well as financially on the island of Manhattan. They're 7th-generation New Yorkers. Originally, they're in the hardware business, but they branched off and they get involved in importing and exporting a very fine glass. From there, the grandfather, Cornelius Van Schack Roosevelt, or CVS, would break away from glass and get more involved in real estate, banking, financing. Keep in mind, TR Sr., our president's dad, was one of these wealthy gentlemen who enjoyed spending the family fortune as opposed to making it. So he was not in tune with the day-to-day activities of the family business. The grandfather lived a little bit south of us on 14th Street and Broadway, which is where this famous photograph is taken, which you might have seen at another time. And you have young T.D. looking out of a second-floor window from his grandfather's home with his brother Elliot at President Abraham Lincoln's funeral procession. Have you ever seen this photograph? Yeah, it's an iconic photograph, considering the fact that both their legacies would be remembered one day alongside each other on Mount Rushmore, which is one of the most iconic units of the National Park Service. But it's a big misconception that this photograph was taken from this house. You can see the street is pretty wide. So this is Broadway. This is Union Square Park in the background. President Lincoln's body was laid in state for mourners to pay their respects on the steps of City Hall in Lower Manhattan. And from there, it would travel by horse and carriage to, or then eventually onto barge to the next destination. But this is the parade procession going north up Broadway, right past the grandfather's home, and right past the future President of the United States, Theodore Roosevelt.